Right now we're going to take a look at what's grabbing today's headlines here in France with our press reviewer Flo Vellamino. Hi there.
Okay.
And Flo, it's D-Day for the Economy Minister Emmanuel Macron. His law, which bears his name, finally being put to lawmakers.
That's right. That's the Assemblée Nationale, the lower house of parliament, that's going to be voting on this very controversial package of reform. Now, it's expected to be voted in favor of this Loi Macron, as it's called, but by the skin of its teeth, it's going to be very, very close. The reform package is actually facing a lot of opposition from within the socialist parties. A lot of MPs have said that it's too right-wing, kind of goes against the basic philosophy of the Socialist Party, but it's also facing a lot of opposition from the right. The UMP and the Centrist Party have said that they're going to vote against it as well. So aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien wonders, why in the world is the right going to vote against this Loi Macron?
Yeah, because, well, it covers a lot of different things, this law. We focused a lot on Sunday trading, but there's a lot of reforms in there. And it kind of goes in line with what you might think of as more, in terms of French politics, right-wing theory.
Absolutely. That's what lots of people are saying, especially that's why there's so many critics within the Socialist Party.
Yeah.
Le Parisien goes into more detail about just what this very big package of reform is basically aimed at cutting red tape and promoting free market economics like working on Sunday. That's one thing we've been focusing on so much. So Le Parisien wonders why in the world is the right against this?
This is simply politicking.
It is politicking.
Right.
Le Parisien says it's out of principle. This is a socialist reform, and therefore the UMP, the opposition party, doesn't want to help the socialists, and so that's why they're going to vote against it. You can see this little cartoon here in Le Parisien aujourd'hui en France today. You can see Emmanuel Macron speaking to Manuel Valls, the Prime Minister, and he's wondering, why is the right against my law? And Valls says, well, they must think that you're a socialist.
Oh, indeed. Well, I think we need to do a sort of dun-dun-dun. Le Figaro, the centre-right-leaning newspaper here in France, usually doesn't like anything that the Socialist Party does, but they are backing the Economy Minister.
That's right. Now, he might not have the backing of politicians on the right wing, but he does have the backing of the right wing in the form of Le Figaro. Le Figaro applauds Emmanuel Macron today, calling him the energetic and youthful banker-turned-economy minister. He's successfully gone through political hazing. That's what Le Figaro says all this is. And he's earned his stripes as a politician. Now, he's managed to get out of the traditional black and white choice between socialist measures and free market policy, according to Le Figaro. They say that he is realistic. Realistic is a word that they use lots in this article that you're taking a look at right here. They call him pragmatic. Could this pragmatism be the saving grace for François Hollande? Well, Le Figaro wonders and says actually it might be.
So Le Figaro hoping that that law does go through later today. We'll have to find out what happens with you tomorrow, of course. Right now we'll move on to another story. We're talking about this desecration of a Jewish cemetery in the Alsace region in eastern France. 5 teenagers now under arrest.
That's right. Now, lots of emotion in the French press, it must be said. Le Parisien, aujourd'hui en France, is focusing on just who these 5 teenagers are. The 5 minors between the age of 15 excuse me, and 17. So according to this article, they grew up in the Alsace region, have no criminal record. Now, it's important to say that they actually deny that this attack is anti-Semitic. They say that they thought the graveyard was abandoned and didn't notice the graves were Jewish until after they had vandalized them. That's their point of view. And one investigator actually says that these are just a bunch of lost teenagers who actually didn't realize the significance of their act, but their act could cost them a lot. They could spend 7 years in jail.
Of course, one might point out that graves are still graves and it's still disrespectful, whoever is in them. And this all comes within a very tense climate here in France. A lot of people very worried about attacks against Jewish people and Jewish symbols.
Absolutely. There's been a rise of anti-Semitism in France, as in many parts of Europe, in recent years. Just recently, last month, of course, there was the kosher supermarket that was taken hostage. 4 French Jews died during that incident. Now, many people in the Jewish community here in France say that the situation is becoming unbearable, and you can read more about it in Le Figaro today. Le Figaro reports actually that the president, François Hollande, and the prime minister, Manuel Valls, are really doing their best to try and reassure French Jews. Both are actually heading to the Alsace region today. Now, in the wake of the Charlie Hebdo attacks and that hostage situation at the kosher supermarket, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, actually had urged French Jews to come to Israel. And yesterday, Valls, so Manuel Valls, the prime minister, actually declared France is wounded with you and doesn't want you to leave. So clearly a reference to that comment made by the Israeli prime minister. Now, it's interesting to note that Valls himself has actually been the target of some anti-Semitism. A former Foreign Minister Roland Dumas, yesterday, he said that the prime minister was acting under a Jewish influence, and that is a reference to his wife, Valls' wife, who is Jewish. Now, it's important to note that politicians from across the political spectrum were very quick to condemn Roland Dumas.
Incredibly tense atmosphere, as you say. Finally, we've got time for a quick word on an enormous deal for France, business deal, I mean. France's Rafale fighter jets sold to Egypt.
That's right. It is signed at last. You can read about it.
We've been talking about this for a long time.
We've been talking about it for a long time. At last, the deal is signed. You can see a photo, actually, of Jean-Yves Le Drian, so the defense minister, signing along the dotted line in Cairo yesterday. It's a big deal, 24 Rafale fighter jets, 5.2 billion euros. Now, some papers have been questioning the signing of this deal with Egypt, which is not the model of democracy these days. You can read more about it in Les Echos, the business paper that says authorities are insisting on the need for this deal to fight against terrorism.
All right, thanks very much. We can read about that in Les Echos and Le Parisien. Thanks very much for now, Flo, who will be back a bit later on with a check on the international papers for us.